when 92-year-old Maria Gonzalez shuffled into the MRI room at a downtown hospital. The machine's usual whir suddenly morphed into a strobing grid of electric blue lines that seemed to pulse and reorganize right before their eyes. The radiologist's breath caught as a pattern no textbook had ever described lit up the screen, a sudden bloom of fresh synaptic pathways snaking across her hippocampus, the part of the brain most textbooks insist just withered with age. "Okay, that's not normal, right?" the tech muttered, squinting at the monitor while the images kept shifting. Maria, who'd just blown out candles on a small chocolate cake that morning, gave a thin chuckle. "I've always loved crosswords," she admitted, "but I never figured my brain would still be doing Sudoku this late in the game." The scan itself was supposed to be routine, just another elderly volunteer in a longevity study. But by noon, that single file had detonated a global email grenade. A grad student in Boston fired off a message that ricocheted from Cambridge to Tokyo. "Has anyone ever documented this level of plasticity in a nonagenarian?" Because if we're looking at a 90-year-old brain that's still rewiring like a 30-year-old's, we might have just found the missing piece to why some people hit 100 without ever slowing down. The question hung there, thick as cigarette smoke. If the brain could stay flexible, if those neurons could keep forging new links deep into the 9th decade, did that mean the rest of the body might stubbornly refuse to quit too? And what if the scientific community had been ignoring that red flag for decades, letting millions of extra healthy years slip through our fingers like sand? The team sat in stunned silence, every flicker on the screen a wake-up call that could have been heard around the world. The room felt heavier than gravity, each researcher staring at the ghostly images as if the pixels themselves might whisper the answer. One scan didn't prove immortality, sure, but it hinted at something bigger. A brain that refused to retire, a mind that kept renovating itself room by room, and perhaps a body that followed suit whether we asked it to or not. That same night, the lead investigator didn't make it to bed until well past 3 a.m., rewinding the footage on her laptop while her coffee went cold, wondering if the fountain of youth wasn't hiding in our bloodstreams or our telomeres after all, but in the stubborn adaptability of our neurons. I'm Dr. Alex Reed, neuroscientist, caffeine addict, and the guy who spent the last 10 years trying to figure out why some brains age like fine wine while others turn to vinegar prematurely. The study that first set off the alarm went into Nature last spring, pinpointing rare gene variants that seem to turbocharge longevity and zeroing in on the pathways that keep cells chill under stress and brains resilient when life throws punches. Source. That paper lit the fuse, but the real fireworks came when the team ran the MRI numbers and saw the direct link between brain plasticity, how nimbly our neurons spin up new connections and how long we stick around. Their spreadsheet told a brutal truth. Folks whose scans showed high plasticity lived, on average, 7 years longer than the crowd whose brains looked like typical old person territory. Think of your brain like a city at rush hour. In a young adult, the neural freeways hum along smoothly, new exits pop up overnight, and potholes get filled before rush starts. By retirement age, too many roads are crumbling, construction crews have retired, and rush hour is just one giant traffic jam. Plasticity is the city's ability to keep repaving, rerouting, and expanding, keeping the commute flowing so the whole organism stays sharp, spry, and alive. A separate squad over at Cell published data showing that zapping out the brain's cellular garbage, those zombie cells we call senescent, actually sharpened memory in mice, giving us a direct line between tidy neurons and a longer lease on life. Source. If dumping cellular junk can reboot cognition, maybe cranking up plasticity could do the same for the rest of us. The NIH just greenlit a new round of trials testing targeted lifestyle upgrades. Things like brisk walks, learning a language, and staying socially plugged in as weapons against neurodegeneration. Source. The World Health Organization chimes in too, basically saying the same thing in fancy language. Your happiness, your friendships, and your curiosity aren't just nice-to-haves. They're biological necessities that tilt the aging scale in your favor. Source. Translation. Crossword puzzles aren't just a hobby, they're a survival skill. Harvard's meditation lab took it even further, demonstrating that sitting quietly for 20 minutes a day can tweak the on-off switches on longevity genes. effectively rewriting parts of our aging script. Source. Epigenetics is the cell's version of sticky notes. Genes get tagged with molecular post-its that decide whether they're read or ignored. Mindfulness seems to peel off the right post-its and slap on fresh ones, giving us an actual shot at editing our expiration date. All of this boils down to an uncomfortable truth. Our brains might be the ultimate control room for how long we stay healthy. If those neurons keep adapting, the body listens. If they stall out, the dominoes start toppling faster than we can catch them. Ignoring signals like Maria's MRI doesn't just cost a few gray hairs. It could erase decades of vibrant, disease-free living. So the question that's keeping half the neuroscience world up at night isn't some abstract puzzle. It's deeply personal. What if the secret sauce for a longer life isn't hiding in some lab-grown pill or a trendy diet, but in the stubborn way our neurons keep rewiring themselves long past the age when everyone assumed the lights would dim? Hang tight, because next up we're ripping open the hood, showing you the exact levers you can yank today, and laying out the research that might just flip the aging playbook sideways. So here's the wild part. Your brain isn't just along for the ride while your body ages. What if I told you it's actually calling the shots? And get this, we're not talking about wild speculation. There's real science showing that how your brain adapts, rewires, and even fights decay might be the key to living longer, healthier lives. Let me back up. I spent weeks digging through every trial on synaptic remodeling and epigenetic clocks. Yeah, it's as nerdy as it sounds. And the pattern that kept popping up? Brains that stay plastic, meaning they keep adapting and forming new connections, seem to hold off aging at the cellular level. Take one landmark study in Nature from 2020. Researchers identified genetic variants tied to extreme longevity, but here's the kicker. They weren't just scattered randomly. These genes cluster around pathways that handle stress and resilience, especially in the brain. So people who carry these variants don't just live longer, their brains handle damage better. Their neurons bounce back. Their cognitive function stays sharp. Source. Now here's where it gets weird. Some labs are testing senolytic therapies, drugs that clear out senescent, zombie cells that accumulate with age. And in mouse models, clearing those cells doesn't just make the mice live longer, it improves their memory. Their brains literally perform like younger animals. That's not just extending lifespan, it's improving health span, the years you actually feel good. Source. But you don't need a lab to hack this. The NIH has been quietly testing something even simpler, targeted lifestyle interventions that boost neural plasticity. And their findings. Enhancing brain adaptability can delay neurodegeneration by years. Not decades, years, still enough to matter. It's not about adding time, it's about making the time you have better. Source. So what actually works? Let's talk real tools. First up, caloric restriction. No, not crash dieting. Controlled, sustainable calorie reduction. Studies show it boosts neurogenesis, your brain's ability to grow new neurons. And here's the kicker, those new neurons release more BDNF, a protein that acts like fertilizer for your brain's synapses. More BDNF, slower epigenetic aging. Cleaner, younger cellular clocks. Source. Second, mental stimulation. Not crossword puzzles or Sudoku, those help, but the real game changer is learning new skills. A 2022 Harvard study found that people who took up complex new hobbies like digital photography or a musical instrument showed measurable changes in epigenetic markers linked to longevity. Their DNA methylation patterns actually looked younger. Their brains weren't just active, they were rewiring toward resilience. Source. Third, mindfulness and stress reduction. Chronic stress doesn't just age your face, it ages your DNA. But Harvard, again, meditation groups showed reduced inflammation and improved telomere length, those protective caps on your chromosomes. Less wear and tear, slower aging. And it's not woo-woo. The epigenetics don't lie. Source. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't this just telling me to eat less and meditate more? Yeah, kinda. But here's the twist. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about strengthening your brain's resilience so your entire system follows. Your neurons adapt. Your stress response quiets down, your epigenome gets a tune-up, and the WHO isn't just nodding along, they're saying it too. Their global report on aging calls psychosocial well-being and lifelong learning critical factors in healthy aging, not optional, not secondary. Core. Source. So yeah, your brain isn't just watching you age, it's leading it. The more plastic and resilient it stays, the longer and better you live. And the coolest part, you just need a mindset that refuses to quit. Have you ever run across the saying, mind over matter? Turns out there's finally some solid data to back it up. In 2023, researchers tracked a group of participants who took on a new brain teaser each day, think crosswords, Sudoku, even picking up a foreign language. And guess what? Those mental gym rats ended up with, on average, 5 extra years of good health versus their more laid-back counterparts. So why does a daily puzzle actually stretch your lifespan? The secret lies in neuroplasticity, the brain's knack for rewiring itself. Give your neurons a workout, and they fire more, unleash growth factors, and crucially, hit the reset button on those epigenetic clocks that tend to speed up as we age. NIH scientists demonstrated that lifestyle tweaks that crank up plasticity can push back the start of age-related neurodegeneration. Source. Put simply, a sharper mind keeps the brain's wear and tear gauge from flashing red. Harvard's aging research crew pushed the idea a notch higher. They discovered that mindfulness meditation, essentially training your attention, tunes epigenetic markers tied to longevity. Source. Picture it as a software update for your cells. The more you flex mental agility, the younger your gene expression profile looks. And it isn't just the brain's health on the line. A landmark Nature article pinpointed genetic variants that grant extreme longevity, homing in on pathways that control cellular stress responses and, crucially, brain resilience. Source. Those very pathways get nudged whenever you pick up a new skill or wrestle with a tough problem. Turns out, the brain is the master conductor of the whole body's aging script. The World Health Organization has long cautioned that psychosocial well-being and lifelong learning are key drivers of healthy aging. Source. What we're witnessing now is solid proof that those soft factors have hard consequences for the body. It turns the classic longevity playbook upside down. Diet and exercise still matter, but now mental agility steps onto the front line. Picture a future where your daily crossword isn't merely a boredom buster but a prescription for a longer, healthier life. The data suggests that keeping your brain in shape keeps the whole system from slamming on the brakes too soon. So next time you feel the urge to scroll mindlessly, reach for a puzzle, learn a chord, or dive into a new language. Your brain's plasticity will thank you, and according to the latest research, your lifespan could just stretch a few years longer. Bottom line, training the mind is training the body. The evidence keeps piling up and the message is crystal clear. Keep those neurons firing, and you'll give your whole organism a better shot at a long, vibrant life. Picture this. You could add a few extra years of pep just by giving your brain a workout. Studies tell us that the same pathways that keep our cells tough also shield the mind, and nudging them can actually lengthen life. Source. Nature. So every fresh skill you learn isn't merely a pastime, it's a shortcut to longer living. A few studies connect boosted neural plasticity with slower neurodegeneration, showing that a keener brain equals a longer, healthier lifespan. Source. NIH. Why not kick off right now? Carve out just 15 minutes and jump into a new language, try some mindfulness meditation, then get moving, maybe a brisk walk or a short yoga sequence. Harvard scholars discovered that even a brief meditation session can toggle epigenetic switches linked to aging. Source. Harvard Magazine. Those minutes aren't a gimmick. They line up with the WHO's call for lifelong learning and psychosocial well-being as key pillars of healthy aging. Source. WHO. Science backs this up. Clearing out old cells in mice boosts cognition, suggesting a well-nurtured brain fuels overall lifespan. Source. Cell. If you're ready to give your brain the edge it deserves, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Next, we'll break down how sleep rewires our longevity code, turning nightly rest into a hidden weapon for a longer life. Stay tuned. Your future self will thank you.